Appearing on MSNBC on Monday, Republican pollster Frank Luntz once again reiterated the fact that if Donald Trump chooses to announce that he's running for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination prior to this year's midterms, it could end up costing Republicans both the House and the Senate. In fact, Luntz said explicitly, if he does announce, he could actually cost the Republicans the House as well as the Senate. If the election is about the economy, Republicans win both. If the election is about Donald Trump, Republicans lose both. It's pretty clear. And again, this guy's a pollster. He looks at the polls, he looks at the numbers, he analyzes them, but he's also not always right? He's a right-wing pundit who, of course, is skewed one way. So you got to take everything this guy says with a grain of salt, because here's how he explained it before he got to the, if Trump runs, they lose. If he doesn't, they win. He said this: "We are starting to see Trump drop below the critical 50% mark in terms of who Republicans want to see as their nominee in 2024 and the consistent rise of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis." Now, that's nothing new. I've been telling you that for several weeks now. Ron DeSantis is rising in all the early states significantly, and there is even a survey now that has him ahead of Donald Trump in New Hampshire. Clearly, Republicans still see Trump as their most important political figure. His endorsement still matters, as we saw in the Maryland governor's race. But when they're looking forward rather than looking back, more and more Republicans are saying, enough. I don't want to focus on the past. I want to focus on the future. I don't want to focus on Donald Trump and an election that is now 2 years old. This is causing significant problem for Trump. I think it's the reason why he is more likely than not to announce in 2022 rather than wait until 2023. Now, again, I agree with him on all of this, because these are all things that I have already said, and you can go back and see them in past videos. I have said all of this. Donald Trump is losing right now, and so he is more likely to announce sooner rather than later to try to stem the bleeding a little bit, which the bleeding, of course, is going to pick back up in September when the January 6th committee does more televised hearings. But in terms of if the election is about the economy, Republicans win. Well, there's some truth to that, and there's some untruth to that, right? And again, another thing we've talked about plenty of times here at Ring of Fire. Right now, yes, voters do blame Biden and the Democrats for the economy. Polls do show that Donald Trump is beating, Joe Biden, he's beating Bernie Sanders, but he's not beating Ron DeSantis. So that question of who would you vote for, Trump or Biden, might be moot. Not to mention the fact that we have more and more lunatic Republicans out there running for office and unfortunately winning their primaries, and we have to take that into consideration. Not to mention the giant elephant in the room. And that giant elephant is 1 million dead voters from COVID-19. How does that play out? We already know that areas with more Republican voters experienced more death from COVID. More Republicans have died from COVID than Democrats have. I have to imagine that that's not going to work out the way Republicans think it will in these midterm races, because the polling data is based on population density. And I'm talking about the density of the political parties. So if you have a county that's 60% Republican, 40% Democrat, and you talk to 100 people, you're talking to 60 Republicans and 40 Democrats. So that way you get an even representation. However, those numbers do not account for the number of deaths that took place. What if 5% of the Republican population in a small county died of COVID? Suddenly, your initial calculations are now off by at least 5%. Do you see what I'm saying? See how this math works out? You can't base your polling data on numbers from 2 or 3 years ago, because those numbers are no longer accurate, because a lot of those people are in the ground because we as a country didn't take the pandemic seriously. So I think there's a lot of unknowns with a lot of this polling data right now. I think we're going to see some pretty shocking results in the midterms. I'm not saying Democrats are going to take control of the House or maintain control or even pick up a bunch of seats. But I am saying that this supposed Republican wave is not going to be as big as the Republicans think. And I think all of those dead Republican voters are the big reason why. And as for the Senate, based on the numbers we're seeing right now, even with the economy, Republicans aren't taking it back. Democrats are right now poised to pick up 2 seats. 2. So I don't know what Luntz is talking about, how, hey, if Trump doesn't run, Republicans get the Senate. No, they don't. The numbers right now already show no, they don't. So again, Republican pollster, take what he says with a grain of salt, but there's so many other factors with all of this polling data that's not being factored in that I don't know how much, if any of it, is actually reliable at this point.
This is Hattie. Hattie wants to know why you have not subscribed to our channel. You obviously like our videos, so do us a favor and subscribe.